First and foremost, before we really get into today's episode, we have something to take care of, and that is giving a certain linebacker of ours the upgrade that he earned. Jack Jacobs was a bit of a disappointing draft pick in that he did not have a great dev pattern out of the gates, and of course, comparing him to the likes of Sparks and Miles Jack, it was not easy to accept that, but he did have that breakout moment. As a result, he's going to go up to star development. I'm actually not going to make him any better, am I? Am I going to make him better? I don't know if I am. What is he, a 73? I'm at least going to make him better than Davis. You know, controversial as it may be, I'm making him better. I'm making him better. He might go up by 1 point, he might go up by 2. Deal with it. Call it cheating if you want. I don't care. Let's up the awareness. Let's up the strength. Still 73s and 72s. You know what? You're a middle linebacker. I'm going to give you slightly better catching. Now, that's really cheating. That's really cheating. Play recognition can go up a little bit. Tackling can go up. There we go. Let's leave it at that. If he's a 74, cool. If he's a 75, cool. He's a 74. So there we go. Jack Jacobs gets his improvement. So today, we're going to look to continue onward after starting off this season with a shocking undefeated run. We are 6-0 on the year. Did not expect that in the slightest. Again, when you talk about who we lost on defense and from the O-line for that matter, but we've beaten Miami, the Chargers, Broncos, Lions, Jets, and Bills thus far. So things are looking very good for us. Now, we are on the cusp of the trade deadline, which got me thinking as to whether or not we really needed to go out and acquire anybody. Obviously, at quarterback, we're good. Running back, in theory, we're still good with Taylor Spencer. I think we are. He's 23, he's a superstar, and money's a little bit tight. So I don't really think we need to make additions there. Wide receiver, we're still good because of Edwards, and just was what a physical freak this guy is, and how good he will be in game if we use him by just throwing the ball. Like, literally, it should be as simple as just throw the ball with a high lob. He should come down with it. He really should. So I'm excited to use him in game if we get the chance. Again, tight end-wise, we're fine. The O-line, we're fine. And then defensively, I mean, the question would have been linebackers heading into the season, but I think we're good. I mean, maybe, slightly better depth at safety, but we do have some solid corners to use. And again, I think Monroe is good enough to be our corner 2 option. And of course, having Coco Ivy in 3 and McBath, we could move someone over to safety. I think we're good. The only spot I'm really worried about is a better defensive tackle behind McAllister, who unfortunately I just don't see improving all that much. I mean, the XP is close. So the only thing that I'm really worried about is, again, potentially getting a slightly better, second DT, because we do occasionally run a 4-3 as opposed to a 3-4. And, maybe some slightly better secondary help. The other thing I was looking at actually was kickers, because that was such a big factor for us last year. And it got me looking at the NFL. There aren't any elite kickers or punters. So what I'm going to do is, number one, as much as I might try to trade for the best kicker and punter available, to be honest, just to really secure our chances. But I wanted to mention that first because I want to go not to these settings, but I want to go to the XP sliders. I'm going to boost those up a little bit more for kickers and punters as well. Of course, we bumped up the sliders a little bit to try and factor in making things better. It's at 200%, and we still don't have any elite kickers. So I don't know if 250 is too much. I don't know if 300 is too much. I'm going to put it on 250 for now. I think I'm almost tempted to go to 300. I really am. 275. Screw it. We'll split the difference there because there just aren't any elite kickers or punters, and I think that's ridiculous. I mean, you'd like to think there's at least one kicker worthy of a 90, right? Maybe I'm wrong there. And actually, before we get into the sim, really quickly, let's look around the NFL. So quarterback-wise, the XP is still fine, although you could argue it should be even better because there's only one computer-generated quarterback who's a 90, and that's our guy in Dawson. You have Locklear, who's looking good. Josh Lentz is up there. I honestly think we could afford to bump this up a little bit more. just to get some more high-end quarterbacks if we really wanted to. I think a couple of 90s would make sense. So I think we're going to boost up the quarterback slider just a little bit more to help out everyone else as opposed to us, just because we're fine. The running back slider, same thing. There are no, computer-generated running backs up there right now. Taylor Spencer is up there for computer-generated running backs. So I think we'll look for a smallish boost for quarterback, a big running back boost. Fullback-wise, I think we'll look for probably a bigger boost there as well. Wide receivers, again, we have 3 in the 90s, and none of them are computer-generated. The top computer-generated option is Harvey Pemberton. So I'm definitely on board with making more improvements here. George Kittle, what a goddamn player he is. Baldwin's up there next. I think pretty much everything is due for more of a boost. The O-line, of course, Eduardo Roman's looking good. Quentin Nelson. Just the O-line in general, I think could use a bit more of a boost, a bit more XP there. I think in general, everything could use a bit more of a boost. So let's go ahead and do that. Clinton Tuck is actually the top defensive tackle in the league right now. That is insane. Didn't mean to go with XP or with gameplay sliders. Of course, everything we just left at 50 and it's on all pro. You guys know that. So quarterback-wise, I think we're going to put everything... Where are we going to put everything? So let's say we put quarterbacks at 150. I think running backs... Now, this might be overkill, I can admit that. But I think running backs we're going to put at 200. Tight ends and wide receivers we're going to put at 200. If it ends up being a little bit overkill, for me, that's okay. Like, I don't know. For me, it's like there's more than 3 elite wide receivers, right? I guess it just really comes down to how elite you want 90 plus to be. But, I don't know. I think I want it to be a little bit less exclusive. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe you guys will disagree. And the good thing is, any damage that's done, it's not going to be that big of a factor, we'll say. You know what? I might just put basically everything up to 200. We'll leave quarterbacks a little bit further behind. I think I'm just going to put everything on 200 and see what we're dealing with. Because, of course, it's not just me who's going to benefit from this. It's everybody. So, I don't know. In fairness, I was just now thinking this could result in a lot more players wanting a lot more money. So that could make things very interesting down the stretch. I might regret this decision. This is very spur of the moment, and maybe I didn't put enough thought into it, but I've done enough damage that I'm just going to leave it as is for the rest of this episode at least, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, I think we're going to leave the team as is beyond the deadline. You know, we could make slight changes to the special teams in terms of a kicker and a punter. We do have the cap room to do it, but in terms of how much that's really going to help, I mean, we at least have solid options there right now. Marciano and J.K. Scott are okay, and I think we will be okay. And then again, linebacker-wise, I want to focus on who we have. So this is the team that's going to make a push, and of course we were going to see improvements at linebacker anyway. We are certainly going to see improvements at linebacker now. So in terms of what we were scouting, I genuinely do not remember where the hell we were. It was on the defensive side of things, I know that much, and we were finishing up with linebackers. That is the correct answer. Okay, so let's continue to see who we have here, and the answer is not great. Let's go find, hopefully, I don't remember if there was a defensive back scout or not. I really don't feel like there was, and now I am definitely regretting my decision to boost the XP sliders. That might have been a mistake, but again, we'll fix it later. There is a defensive back scout in Mr. Compton, so we'll go ahead and sign him up. Like I said, obviously, defensively is where we're going to be looking for improvements. Although, you could argue how much more important the secondary is over another potential O-line replacement, because there is some big money being spent there. Was there an O-line specific scout is the question. I didn't think we'd get like 10 minutes into this without me simming a game. Sorry for that. Okay, there's not an O-line scout, unless the guy at the very bottom was, but I don't believe he was. So we'll focus on the secondary, and then we'll scout the O-line heading towards the draft. So let's see what we have here, as we'll just go ahead and keep burning through these points. And, of course, we'll just go ahead and do that. Joey Can is unbelievable, at least in terms of the top 3 grades. And, again, decision-wise, we'll go ahead and focus on contracts later. So we take on the 3-3 Ravens. Huge advantage, with the exception of the fact that they have Lamar Jackson. So let's hope that we can stay undefeated. Let's find out. Primetime game against Baltimore, and we lose our first loss of the season, 14-13. Super close game. We pick up an injury, and it's James Landry on the O-line, out for 7 weeks. And that is devastating. It happens right after the deadline. So no way to predict that, unfortunately. The good thing is we have Hale, who is a very, very good depth option for us. So I'm feeling good. I mean, we do have 2 78s, but the O-line is still pretty damn strong. So we do lose. We pick up an injury. But overall, I'm feeling pretty good still about our chances, and hopefully we'll bounce back and get a win here in this upcoming week, as Kerry Young makes it up to an 85. Jack Jacobs gets another skill point. He's up to a 75. So I didn't put him there, but he gets there anyway, which is pretty nice for the 21-year-old. And the rest of these guys are all, random depth options that I meant to auto-assign the upgrades to. So there we go. Quick and easy. We take on the 6-2 Vikings next. Let's go back and see what we have for corners. Of course, I really don't expect any of these guys to be that good, but I am going to burn all of my points because I can, and I want to. Deal with it. As we are ready. 6-1 Pats against the 6-2 Vikings in Minnesota. We do have a good advantage. They have Cooper Kupp, who is still a strong option, and Jabari Atkinson, a top corner in this league. Can we get the win, or are we going to be off to a poor start in this episode? Poor start it is. Back-to-back losses. This one not as close. 28-13, the final score. So as much as the last episode was kind to us, this has been a pretty poor start, all things considered. Terrell Godfrey makes it up to an 89 overall as a corner. Absolute beast, the 25-year-old X-Factor with reinforcement and unfakeable. Just a few short XP points away from getting that other upgrade. Solomon Crosby is up to a 79 overall. Incredibly helpful for the 24-year-old superstar. And Connor Wakefield, just making better as a run stopper. He is up to a 77 overall. So we're really going to be looking for the offense to figure things out here. Not exactly off to a flying start. Back-to-back weeks with just 13 points on the board. We need to get back in gear against Chicago, or it is going to be a little bit more than just a slight concern as far as this slip here to begin this episode. So let's see if there's anybody decent. Overall, it's not looking too good towards the bottom of the list, unfortunately. We'll move over to safeties, where there are very few. D'Angelo Brown could be a monstrous option at safety, however. We take on Chicago, another road game. Huge overall advantage for us that we need to take advantage of. And if we don't, again, it's somewhat crisis time. Can we beat the Bears? Yes, we can. So, not overly convincing. 24-17 was the final score. We're still 3 games clear of the Jets and the Dolphins, as Ricky Sparks has re-signed with the Falcons after signing there this past offseason. And we get more skill points, of course, which is not shocking given the percentage boost. Again, maybe this is too much, But Reggie Choice is up to an 86. Of course, it's going to help out other teams, though, too. But then again, you got to worry about the money. Reggie Choice up to an 86. Harvey Pemberton is up to an 83 overall. Very good. +1s across the board. Morris Kirby makes his way up to an 81. Big fan of the face paint. Rocking the Gretzky number for the 24-year-old. And then Jack Jacobs, another boost. He's now into the greens at a 76 overall. Very, very good. And Rudolph, we can just auto-upgrade. We're rocking the Teddy Bruschi number, huh? Bold strategy. So let's see here. Let's finish scouting safeties, shall we? Or at least these options here. Really, it's just D'Angelo Brown. Unfortunately, let's scout everybody. Again, I really wish late round steals were a little bit more prevalent than they are, but what are you going to do? Like James Sinclair, don't know how I feel about Antonio Dillon. Karma Barnes is a decent option there as well. So obviously plenty of time now to scout the O-line. Taking on the 4-5 Jets, big division game for us. 12 overall point edge. And just because I know it's going to be ridiculous, look at the difference in X factors. I mean, that is just not fair. But there you go. We'll still probably lose. Will we fall to the Jets? No, we will not. Convincing win 31-14. We move up to 8-2 on the season as Taylor Spencer improves. He's up to an 83. Good stuff for us there. Kai Miner at center also improves. He is up to a 79. Not too bad for the rookie. Alan Marciano, our kicker, improves. He needs to be more accurate. We get him up to a 77. He has a cannon of a boot, and it's awareness, damn it. His stats, 95 power, or 71 accuracy. We really needed accuracy. He's now the 5th rated kicker in the league at a 77, so the boost certainly had to happen for kickers and punters. Sheffield up to the greens with a 76 overall now. Very good for him, now the 25-year-old. And the rest of these guys were all depth signings. Oliver Page had a player face that I have never seen before. So not too bad. Let's see what else we can find here, shall we? It's not worth it at all, but I don't care. Let's see what we have. Blair Ramsey or Sammy Brewster might be worth it. I'm going to look at punters too, because why the hell not? Will Lehman could be a decent little option in the upcoming draft. We take on the 4-6 Miami Dolphins. 10 overall point edge. They have 1 X factor with Jerome Baker, who I do love in this game. So if we win this, we have a commanding lead on the division, as you would expect. And ultimately, we lose. Devastatingly. 35-14. A dominant victory for the Miami Dolphins. Damn, so we fall to 8-3. We haven't exactly been flying out of the gates in this episode. Maybe there will be some regret over not going out and acquiring some help, but you know what? Again, I think it was the right move to have faith in this team, and hopefully we are ultimately rewarded. But again, it's been a bit of a rough start today. So Coco Ivy improves, J.K. Scott improves. Ratings-wise, a little bit more accuracy would be good for him. He's back up to a 77. He'll never be higher up than that, though. You see how much XP it would take for him to get better at 29 years old. And Jay McAllister, I think is the last player I have to care about. He's up to a 72, so I trusted him. Hopefully I don't pay for that. Quentin Gordon also improved, actually, too. He's not a random depth option. We drafted him this past season. So quarterback-wise, we already know Deion Beale's the only guy. Running back-wise, even though I like who we have, I can't help but look. Yeah, none of them are worth it. Fullback-wise, too, I can't help but look. I'm sorry. Is it a waste? Absolutely it is, but I don't really care. Maybe it's not, because Matthew Anderson looks like a beast. And again, I can't help it. It's my holy grail. I need to find a freaking superstar dev fullback like I saw last year. As we take on Miles Jack and the Oakland Raiders. Huge overall boost for us, but Miles Jack returns to New England as we are just 3 games ahead of the Jets and the Dolphins after that loss to Miami last week. We need a win here to regain that stranglehold on the division, and we get it. Again, not overly convincingly with the air raid scheme. Makes me wonder if we should keep it heading into the playoffs. But 24-16, a win's a win. It's our 9th of the season. We'll be heading down to Tennessee to take on the dreadful Titans. But before that, Clinton Tuck continues to make his charge towards a 90 overall. Absolute monster at this stage. And again, the number 1 rated defensive tackle in the league. Very, very good. Lionel Hill improves. I'm going to just make him better as a power rusher to get him up to an 83. I feel like that's a little bit more important. +2 to his tackling for the 24-year-old. Solomon Crosby improves. We'll keep him as a scheme fit. He goes up to an 80 ultimately. Not too bad, and does unlock an ability slot. Very good for the 24-year-old superstar. It's Jukebox. Not too bad. Kyle Hale at right tackle improves. We get him up to a scheme fit. 78 overall on that right-hand side for the 23-year-old rookie out of the U. Chris Edwards. We will probably just make you better from a physical standpoint. Although, again, the big thing for him, he needs to be a better route runner, and he needs to have better hands. So normally it's like, okay, just make someone even better, with what they're at, or, make them better with what they should be good at. But I think on this occasion, I'm just going to try to make him better as a route runner, and hopefully that helps a little bit. And it does. And it will actually help a little bit more. So catching traffic is nice too. Obviously outright catching would have been even better. Ian Christensen, our 3rd string tight end, is already a pretty damn good blocker. Just cannot catch for the life of him. So let's make him better from a possession standpoint. That gets him up to a 75 overall. A ton of points for him. Jesus Christ. Josh Vance also improves. Just make him better as a speed rusher to get him up to a 75. Our depth linebacker gets a +3 in tackling. Everybody else can be auto-upgraded. So Crosby, of course, improves. And we have a little bit of scouting to take care of before we focus on the Titans. And indeed, Anderson's kind of the one guy I'd worry about. Wide receiver-wise, I mean, it's pretty much all we can scout now is wide receiver, O-line, and D-line. D-line, we're fine. Again, a second defensive tackle who's just a complete beast would be nice. Wide receiver-wise, I mean, one more replacement because N'Keal Harry's getting up there in age wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. We're going to fire Compton, so we have the wide receiver boost, a D-line boost. Let's go with wide receivers first. And then I think I'll try to scout the O-line, and then we'll take a look at the defensive line if need be, mainly defensive tackles, before the draft. And to be honest, yeah, we already scouted tight ends, and we know they're not good. So let's take a look at the top wide receivers available through the first 2 rounds, maybe even 3 at this rate, because there are some pretty talented options here. Let's go ahead and do it that way, including Deron Lindsay. So let's see what happens here. Should the Titans be as bad as they are, I suppose, is the first question? The answer is yes. They're only a 71. So this should be a demolition derby for us here against the Titans. We should be able to handle them easily, and if we do, the division title is pretty much ours. And it was close, but we do win, putting up 35 points in the process, as Chase Dawson improves, and he might be, I mean, he's still already the 2nd highest rated quarterback. I guess the question here is, what do we want to improve? Play action and short accuracy really are the most important things right now. So let's see, short accuracy. What would we do to improve short accuracy? Field general. Let's do that. He does go up to a 93. Short accuracy is up by 2. Throw power up by 1. So there we go. He's just dominant. And Jack Jacobs is having himself an episode. I'll tell you that much. He's very much turning into the guy that we wanted him to be. Block shedding, play recognition, and zone coverage could work out pretty quickly. Run stopper. It's tough because I think we'll go with field general for play recognition. That gets him up to a 77. We'll handle it that way. Man coverage goes up as well instead of zone. So Jack Jacobs looking damn good at this point. Like I said, at the very least, everyone around the league is going to be getting maybe a little bit more of a boost than they should be. Let's double check everyone within the first 3 rounds, and it looks like the talent does fall off a little bit. But worth checking there, as there are some decent options. Neil Morgan as a physical type out of Penn State, looking very, very good. So let's see what we have. We'll sign that D-line scout, and then we're pretty much good to go. Like I said, I mean, we're going to have to scout out O-line options, but I think linebacker-wise now, we're pretty much good to go. Again, if we need to scout anything on the D-line, I mean, yeah, we've already scouted the linebackers. We've done very well. So let's take a look at defensive tackles. See if there's anybody half decent out there. Fortunately, Sylvester Murdoch is not one of them. We take on the 8-5 Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones leading the way for a low-rated Chiefs team that we should be able to make it past, but just because of the low rating, that doesn't mean that we don't have to worry about Mahomes. Let's see what we can do. Week 15, and we get the win. Another close game, 28-25. It has me worried about scheme fits. Sammy Kirby has himself a day, and the defending champion Bengals, Brian Green, leading the way for that team still. We could very much be on a collision course as James Landry returns from injury. N'Keal Harry, playing like a 90 right now. He is just not a good route runner. He does everything else extremely well. We just need to improve the route running, as he does make it to a legitimate 90 overall, which is tremendous. That unlocks in another ability slot. Ability. He has max security, curl specialist, Jesus, and leapfrog. So very, very good there. Of course, we don't know how much longer he's going to be around, though. Really, time will tell on that front. Sammy Kirby, I think just finesse moves, power moves, that's really all it needs to improve. So Speed Rusher would improve those finesse moves. That doesn't help the overall, but it is a +3 in finesse moves, which is going to be very useful for him, so I'm good with that. Harvey Pemberton, it's going to be the best thing to improve here for you, route running. Catching traffic and route running, which is good. We just make him better as a slot option. That's what he's dying for right now. So let's do that, and he goes up to an 84 as a result. +1s across the board. Terrence Abraham, TE2 for us on this team. Better route running or better blocking, because he has good hands. Let's go... Tough call. Short route, medium route, need improvement. Let's go possession. He goes up to a 78 as a result. Huge bonuses there. Very good for the 26-year-old. And then Connor Wakefield, another upgrade. What do you need, buddy? Power moves, finesse moves just aren't on point. And then pass coverage is his lowest, which is surprising. Yeah, zone coverage is pretty bad too. Let's make him better. It's kind of a tough call. Let's make him better from a pass coverage perspective. That gets him up to a 78. Obviously, he's an outside linebacker, but still, just him being better at coverage is only, can only be viewed as a good thing. So good stuff for us across the board there. We'll get back into the scouting game. Let's see what we have for DTs here still. As you know what, screw it, I want to look at everybody, because I like wasting points. I do. It's my favorite thing. In this game, it really is. It is my favorite thing to do, is to just waste a ton of points, in case you couldn't tell. So there we go. Week 16, we host Green Bay before heading to Buffalo to end the season. The division title is ours yet again, as we are currently aiming to finish second in the AFC. The defending champion Bengals have already clinched it. We are neck and neck with the Steelers. The Broncos not too far behind. 11 wins in a row for Cincy. So they went 2-0, lost their third game, and have just taken off since then. And the Vikings have already clinched the top record out in the NFC. So we know what lies ahead for us here. Just battling for seeding, as we got to figure out contract-wise what the hell we're doing here. And I think mainly it's just the big contracts, of course, that we are worried about. But the problem is there are quite a few. So, Oliver Sheffield I really do want to keep, because I do love this 1-2 punch that we have at running back. So we'll see if he's willing to sign that deal. And he is. So Oliver Sheffield's going to be staying. I'm okay with the thought of losing J.K. Scott. I'm okay with that. And we'll probably let him go to free agency. I'm okay with losing Terrence Abraham as our second tight end. So aside from that deal, now it's just the top options. And we can't lose Lionel Hill. We cannot lose Lionel Hill. He just wants a better salary. So 6 years. Oh boy, this is going to be expensive. So 5 years, 86 is fair. So let's see. That's technically 88. Will Lionel Hill accept that deal? Yes, he will. So Lionel stays. I'm going to focus on Solomon Crosby next, because there's a chance we move N'Keal Harry. 6-year deal for Solomon. Will he accept? Yes, he will. I'm going to focus on Ben Monroe over Coco Ivy. And we're going to go with like a 6-year deal for him, if he'll accept. And he does. Can I afford Coco Ivy at this point? I can, but barely. Will he sign the deal? It's going to need a bit of work, but for the most part, we're good. We're going to have to figure out some things, TE2, the punting situation, but we can figure that out in due time. So let's see what happens here against Green Bay. Again, fighting for seeding, but we're already in the playoffs. They have no X factors. We have, of course, a huge overall advantage. Let's see if we can get an important win. In our final home game of the season, we lose 14-13. So ultimately, we may end up finishing third in the AFC as the Steelers won. So yeah, it's third or fourth, second at best. So seeding-wise, we could very well find ourselves in a less than ideal situation, as we've just slipped up at certain points, unfortunately. Taylor Spencer, better break tackle would be great. 83 overall, he's the 10th rated running back. Needs better break tackle. That's the main thing. He's never going to be good at trucking. So you got to make him better as a power back. So he doesn't go up to an 84. Does he get points in break tackle? He does, and a +3 to trucking. So not too bad. Morris Kirby, what do you need to be better at, buddy? I mean, you don't exactly hit like a truck, but that's okay. Power moves, finesse moves, zone coverage. Play recognition could be a little bit better as well. Let's just make you better as a power rusher. Keeps him at an 81, but improves on a couple of key stats. +2 to power moves and the +1 to strength. Ben Monroe, what do you need to be better at? Zone coverage, tackle, press. Okay. So zone coverage just outright. Go for that option. He's still an 81. But good improvement there. +2 to press, +1 to zone coverage. So already looking a little bit better there. Again, he's got great speed and agility. Tremendous jumping for someone at 6'2". Very useful corner. And then Kai Minor needs to improve on the run block. Needs to improve on the run block. There is no other way to put it. So we'll make him better as a power option. He stays at a 79. Hopefully there's a run block improvement there. Perfect. That's exactly what we needed for the 21-year-old rookie. The other guys can be auto-upgraded. And that will get us back into the contracts. Let's see if we can lock up Coco Ivy here. He wanted a little bit more money. So we'll see what we can do. What do you say, Coco? Is that good? Coco wants more money. Okay. Like I said, I'm not worried about losing any of these other players. That's fine. They were all depth signings, with the exception of Abraham and Scott, and Christensen as well, but they're all replaceable. They're all replaceable, so we'll see if we can figure that out. Scouting-wise, let's finish taking a look at defensive tackles, and then it's on to the O-line in the final few chances that we get to look at players before the draft. But obviously, the playoffs will happen before then, and we're going to be able to start on the O-line now. So, first and foremost, Vincent O'Doyle. Not looking that bad. We'll look at anybody within the first 3 rounds to start off here, and this might be a fairly bad year for offensive linemen anyway. So, we take on the 7 and 8 Bills, our final regular season game of the year. 12 overall point edge. They do have some game changers on defense. Let's see if we can cap things off with a win and a 12-4 season, or will it be 11-5? It will be 11-5. So we lose to the Bills as well. 11-5 is nothing to scoff at, but there isn't a single team that we went up against in today's episode that I felt like should have beaten us. We ultimately finished 3rd. We did have the tiebreaker over Denver, so we avoid playing any wild card football. But we'll take a look. So the NFC North goes to the Bengals. The Steelers and Ravens also make it. Out of the South, you have the Jags at 8-6. Out of the East, we were the only team to make it, of course. Out of the West, you have the Broncos. And then we go to the NFC, where you have the Vikings. Out of the North, the South sees the Saints make it. The East with Washington and Philadelphia. And the West with the Rams and Seahawks. The Bengals, the defending champs, the top team in the league. At this point still, they are the team to beat, even though I was upset and felt like we should have beaten them in the playoffs last year. We didn't, and ultimately, they proved that wasn't a fluke, because they're still there, on top of the mountain, and proving to be a problem, as Kai Minor ends up with 2 points. So we're going to go with both power and agility. He is up to a legitimate 81 overall at the end of his rookie regular season. Parrish Wynn at safety gets an upgrade, I think, for the first time this season. Not a great tackler, not good at zone coverage. He's a freak athlete. He just needs to be better at zone coverage, and he does go up to an 83, rocking the Ty Law 24, a +1 to zone coverage. Anthony Yoder on the offensive line is honestly very well-rounded. Just finesse is his weakness right now. So let's go with agility. Let's go with agility. He doesn't go up in an overall, doesn't go up in overall, but he does get some improvements to the finesse that he needed. Jack Jacobs, what a season he had, man. Block shedding, zone coverage, or play recognition. Let's go with pass coverage. That gets him up to a 78. So ultimately, he does prove to be the guy that we needed. He is not quite Miles Jack, but give it time. And Alan Marciano. Let's get a little bit more accuracy, please. He's up to a 78, so it should be more than awareness. And it is. +1 to both of those attributes. James Newton, our fullback, making better at blocking. He's up to a 72. Double decent for the rookie out of South Carolina. So a quick look here. First and foremost, that is not what I meant to hit, but that is okay. What I want to do is go to the schedule, see what lies ahead, and then take a look at the stats for the season. So the Ravens play the Broncos, Eagles, and Redskins, Steelers and Jags, Seahawks, and Saints in the wild card. Let me know again what you think about the XP boost as well. Was that overkill? We can down it a little bit if we need to. We get to the team stats, where the Cowboys indeed gained the most offensive yards this season. We were mid-table. Total offensive yards, we were up there in the top 6. Very good. Passing yards, we were second best in the league with that air raid offense. Rushing yards of 1,400, we were mid-table, closer to the bottom. Point per game, we were a little bit down. Mid-table, closer to the bottom at 23 points compared to the Bengals' 28. Passing touchdowns, we were mid-table somewhere. And rushing touchdowns, mid-table somewhere. So the offense was good, but maybe just not as efficient as putting up points as we needed them to be. However, we had a top 5 offense. We were bottom 5 in total yards allowed, so our defense was on point, shockingly, at least in terms of total yardage. We allowed the 4th fewest passing yards and 1,500 rushing yards allowed. We were mid-table. Points allowed in general, we were bottom 4. Quarterback sacks, 2nd highest in the league, one of 3 teams to hit 40. 2 fumble recoveries. And then interceptions-wise, 19 for the Vikings. Jesus Christmas. So overall, it looks like it might be our conversions. 3rd down, where were we on 3rd down? Mid-table, slightly closer to the bottom. 4th down, we were on 60%, which was mid-table. And then red zone efficiency, we were actually 2nd in the league. I'm shocked. Defensive red zone points, though, were up there a bit. I'm honestly surprised. Like, our record's nothing to scoff at. We're kind of like the real life Patriots now, where you lose 3 games and it's like, oh man, it's like, really? It's not that bad. It's really not. So I don't hate it. Remind me, by the way, to check this Hall of Fame category by the end of this, but you can see some of the names that made it in thus far. Taking a look at the stats. Chase Dawson, nearly 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns, 10 interceptions on the year. Taylor Spencer, over 1,000 yards with 7 touchdowns. Sheffield, not too bad either, with 3 touchdowns on the season. Receiving-wise, N'Keal Harry, over 1,000 yards. 82 receptions for Gerard Baldwin, who's been amazing for us since acquiring him. Harry led the way with 10 touchdowns, 7 for Pemberton. Blocking-wise, nobody was in double digits for sacks allowed. Very, very good. Defensively, Morris Kirby led in tackling. Those linebackers got tested, but they stood up to it. Tackles for loss, 15 for Kirby. Numerous players in double digits. Quarterback sacks, 10.5 for Lionel Hill. The interception leader was Jack Jacobs with 2. Not bad, Jack. Not bad. And Marciano was 21 of 27. He's got a cannon of a boot, but the accuracy just isn't where we need it to be ultimately. Let's take a look around the league here, if my controller doesn't bug out. And let's see what happens. So, Cam Newton led in yardage over Dawson. 3 quarterbacks broke 4,200 yards. Newton broke 44 because he's just been a beast. Completion-wise, Newton with the most. Passing touchdown leader was Lamar Jackson with 41. Most interceptions was Adam Isaac of the 49ers. Rushing-wise, Zeke still leading the way in yardage. That is insane. Touchdown king was Saquon, though. Receiving-wise, total receptions went to Michael Thomas and Corin Rowe with 89 each. The yardage king was Michael Thomas. And the touchdown king, Michael Thomas. Blocking-wise, worst lineman in the league, Trey Lawton in San Francisco. Defensively, most tackles, Eddie Andrews in Nolans. Tackles for loss, it was Takaris McKinley with 21. Kirby was up there for us. And quarterback sacks, only 13. Only took 13 to lead the league, Myles Garrett. The interception king, Denzel Ward, and Amani Hooker. And the most successful field goal kicker was actually Alan Marciano with 21 made. In terms of his percentage, though, you see how few field goals are attempted. It's kind of crazy. So that will do it for this season. The question now, I guess, well, number one, the XP. The question now, though, is whether or not we think that the air raid scheme and 3-4 under is enough. I think defensively we're fine. The air raid, though, proving to be perhaps slightly inconsistent. But we're storming into another playoff situation, and we'll be playing the Denver Broncos at home in the divisional round in the next episode. We've experienced playoff disappointment after playoff disappointment, but perhaps this will be our year. Denver able to beat Baltimore Philadelphia beats Washington, Jacksonville beats Pittsburgh, and New Orleans beats Seattle. So it is the Jags and Bengals, Eagles and Vikings, Broncos and Pats, Saints and Rams. The final 8. Is this our year? I certainly hope so.